So I want to go over a few things that were revealed after further inspection here. It's almost comical. Um, First of all, there was this big, huge chunk of aluminum just laying inside here. As a matter of fact, this is where it was laying, right in there, just like that. So, God only knows how in the world this thing got there. And I have no idea where it came from. I mean, I have looked all over this engine to try to find where this could have possibly come from. And there isn't anything in here that anywhere remotely resembles this piece. So I can only assume, maybe, that it's been there since day one. Who knows? I just can't imagine. Now, when I take all of these things apart and get the cases completely stripped down, maybe something will show up. But in the meantime, it's a mystery. The other thing I found was a little piece of the number one piston, which makes sense because this is the number one piston here, and this piece was broken off from right here. So that was probably from my beating the hell out of the piston to try to get this, try to get the cylinders off. Then otherwise, here was another thing that I pulled out. And again, what in the hell did that, how the hell did that get in there? This is like a big, long staple. And again, is this part of the inside of the engine? I doubt it. I have no idea. But again, it was laying somewhere in here. I forgot where I pulled it out of there, but that's a metal staple. That would have grenaded the engine if it had gotten loose. The other bizarre thing is that this right here, it's gross, but it's a leech. And I found it laying right there on top of this gear, right in the middle of the transmission. So poor little guy got caught up in there, and that was his resting place. So other than that, inside the engine there were all kinds of pine tree droppings, pine needles, twigs. I mean, half the forest was in here. Again, you can see some of it right there. I haven't touched it. And again, it's smack in the middle of the engine. So weird things happen when you lay a bike down high up in the mountains in the elements and let it sit there for years. A lot of weird stuff happens. Now, generally speaking, inside this engine, everything looks really nice. All the gears are in great shape. I mean, except for this ring. Again, I found this ring, this broken ring from right here, laying in the bottom of the engine. So at some point, that came loose. But anyway, everything inside here is in really good shape, except, God knows why, but this center gear right here is completely corroded. Go figure. All the gears around it are in perfect condition. No evidence of any corrosion or anything. And there it is, right smack in the middle. So I have no idea how in the world that could have happened. It's smack in the middle of the engine. I mean, I guess the only I don't know. It's a mystery. If anybody has that answer, let me know what it is. I turn it. Actually, the other side of it looks pretty good. So maybe for some reason it was exposed somehow, some way to the elements. So anyway, I'm probably going to replace that. I've got some extra transmission gears, and I may replace that because it's too corroded. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the rest of this stuff apart, and we'll see what we end up with. So at this point, I am removing the shaft that goes through the starter clutch. And unfortunately, CBXs have a major flaw, design flaw, in that if your starter clutch goes out, you have to remove the engine, tear it down, split the cases to get the starter clutch out. Now, I have not seen very many CBXs that have bad starter clutches. It's not like the F bikes that where the starter clutch goes out on a regular basis. But anyway, this is how far you have to tear the engine down to get the starter clutch out. And as you can see, I am pulling the starter clutch out at this point. And you can see the primary chain wraps around it, the whole works. So there it is, the starter clutch from a CBX. So if you have a CBX and your starter clutch goes out, you're basically screwed. Again, I haven't seen very many of them go out, but if they do, here it is. So after the starter clutch gets out, then the crankshaft is free to pull out. So you just grab the chains, grab the crank, and lift it right on out. Okay, so what I do is I lay everything out on the table, unclean and so on. That's why I've got the plastic there. But anyway, I kind of lay everything out just like this. And then I drag the table over to my parts washer and I just start going through it just like washing dishes. So here's the aftermath. Like I said, the inside of this engine is actually in really good condition. And again, I've looked at the two engine halves, cases, and I don't see any broken areas where that piece of aluminum could have come from. So who knows? Could have been from the factory. I can't imagine how it got there otherwise. And I don't think this engine's ever been rebuilt in the past. But anyway, one of the things that I discovered, pretty interesting, our good old number one piston has a bent rod. Isn't that a shock? So who knows, maybe it did have, that vapor lock like I had suspected in the very beginning, and it bent the rod. Could very well have been. There's no way that I bent it pounding it, but then again, maybe I did, because I was pounding the hell out of the top of this piston to try to break it loose. So I don't know, maybe I did bend the rod, but I don't know, I find it kind of hard to believe. But who knows, stranger things have happened. So anyway, the rest of the rods look in pretty good condition, so I'm going to reuse them. But I'll put new bearings, obviously. Even though these bearings are in pretty good shape, actually. Very little scoring or anything. So as neglected as the engine was, it's amazing how some of this stuff held up. So now I can start cleaning everything up. As usual, the shop becomes a disaster while you're doing this. And using a tub like this is invaluable when you're talking about a really gnarly, scummy engine like this one was. This engine here is going to be a piece of cake. Really, all I have to do is pull the head, check the pistons and the rings, and if I have to, I'll replace the rings. But you know, a lot of times you just have to redo the head and that's it. But I guess we'll find out. That'll be in future videos. And as far as the parts washer is concerned, I just bought this brand new one. It's a really large 40-gallon parts washer, so that's going to be really nice. This parts washer is well used, but I'm going to keep it because parts washers are worth their weight in gold. So anyway, I'll do a video on cleaning the parts as well, and when I get them all nice and pretty again, then comes the fun part, reassembly. So stay tuned for that. That'll probably be next week sometime. And in the meantime, I want to thank you for watching. And again, please subscribe. I've had a couple of people ask how they can get notifications when I post new videos. And I believe that when you hit subscribe, there's a little bell that appears to the right of the subscribe button. And if you hit that bell, you'll get notified. Otherwise, you may have to go into the YouTube settings and set your notifications so you get notified. And I think they give you an option as to which videos you want to get notified on. So anyway, again, thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.